Listen, it's the halfway point of 2021, so I thought it was a good time to check in. I thought it was so interesting last year when you admitted, right, for the first time in your life, you didn't know everything that was going on with the business and exactly where it was going. Where do we stand now, man? I mean, is it back under control, or is COVID still making things a little bit, chaotic?
It's still iffy. We've obviously made some pretty good moves. We were the first. We jumped right out and did the first full arena, and everything's been going well for us. And we're going to continue to feel it out and see what we can do. But if the world goes to hell again, I'm ready for it this time.
Yeah, no doubt. The Apex has been an absolute blessing for the UFC for sure. So I want to ask, you said we're kind of in this hybrid time, right? Pay-per-views are in big arenas. Fight nights are still back in the Apex. What's the plan? I mean, are you committed through the rest of the year to staying in the Apex? Are you trying to get back out and get the fight nights to fans? What's the plan?
I'm staying in the Apex for the fight nights for the rest of the year. And we're working on bringing fans in and unique, different, cool ways for fans to come watch fights at the Apex. But and then I'm looking for, whatever's open, whatever's next. Anywhere in the world is where I'll go next.
Nice. Would you ever keep fight nights permanently at the Apex? I mean, I got to think, not having to rent a venue, not having to travel everything, just rolling in your backyard is kind of nice. Would you ever stay there permanently?
I think for a couple of years we could do that. But I also think that what helped build the sport was taking fights to places like Omaha, Nebraska, taking fights to places, all these towns and cities that love the UFC and got to experience the live event. I'm a big believer in the live event, and that when you go to one, you're never going to one of our live events and going, yeah, this sucked. I'm never coming to one of these again. Just impossible. We put on, and I don't give a shit what anybody says, we put on the best live sporting event in all of sports. Saturday night is going to be fucking insane. Most celebrities ever at an event in the last 20 years. Most pre-buys ever. So all of you out there, that if you know that you're going to watch the fight on Saturday night, buy it now. Don't wait till Saturday when 3 million other people are trying to do it, and you're having a hard time getting it in. We've got the most pre-buys ever right now. And believe me, go to ESPN Plus and do it now.
That's amazing. I was going to touch on that. I mean, obviously, anytime Conor fights, it's an event, right? I mean, it's something special. So are you anticipating this will be the biggest pay-per-view event of the year?
Yo, definitely. Without a doubt. But, what makes this so great is trilogies, man. People love trilogies. Conor, how he won the first one, how Poirier won the second one. These guys are both in title contention. There's so much on the line. Did Conor McGregor get that hunger back? That's what people want to see. And not to mention the fact that a Conor McGregor fight never sucks. I mean, Conor's this huge superstar. And listen, we've had superstars in the past. Some fights were good, some fights were not. Every single Conor McGregor fight is an absolute war.
Yeah. I think people are trying to figure out what's on the line here for Conor, right? I mean, he is the biggest star in the sport. Is he at a point in his career where results don't even matter in terms of drawing power and fan interest? Or do you feel like this might be a must-win type situation for him to stay relevant and at the top of the division?
Listen, Conor McGregor is a competitor, All you got to do is look, the guy has a ton of money. He doesn't need to fight anymore. He wants to fight. He's a fighter to the core. And what's at stake is, yes, he wants to be back on top. He goes in and beats the number one guy in the world. He's probably going to get the next title shot. The other thing that Conor McGregor likes probably more than competition is money. And when he fights, he makes a shitload of money. So, these are all still very important things to him at this point in his life.
Yeah, no question. We know Charles Oliveira is going to be in the building. You said this, that both guys are in title contention. Are you looking at this as a number one contender fight? Because either guy would seem to make sense for the title next.
100%.
Very nice. And I do want to ask one thing, because I think what a lot of fans are saying is, if for some reason Conor doesn't win, if Dustin Poirier wins here, boy, you still got that Nate Diaz trilogy fight that a lot of people want to see. How often do you guys talk about that? I mean, do you feel like that's a fight that's in the back pocket, that's always there, that has to happen at some point?
Well, it is. That's a fact. But I don't ever think about anything with Conor until, after Saturday, because you never know where this kid's head is and what he's thinking. But he's a fighter, man. And I used to say about him all the time, a lot of people like to criticize and this and that. I've been in the living room. I've been on the phone when we're standing in front of the kid saying your opponent fell out and, blah, blah, blah. I know who Conor McGregor is on the fight side. You get a lot of guys that talk a lot of shit publicly, and most of it's not true. The thing is with Conor McGregor is this guy's always stepped up and been willing to fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. So, he's extremely wealthy. The question is, how much more of this does he want? How hungry is he? And we'll find out on Saturday night. And win, lose, or draw, we'll find out, probably a couple weeks after that, what he wants to do next.
No doubt. Let's talk about Dustin Poirier as well. Got to think a title shot's hanging in the balance for him. I know he wants to get that. But do you feel like this is like kind of one of those career-defining legacy-type fights for Dustin Poirier, a guy that's, been grinding for a long time and finally seems to be getting toward the top?
100%. And he was criticized by a lot of people for taking this fight instead of the title fight. He made the absolute right decision. This is a fight that, as long as he's been fighting, all the things that he's accomplished, the great things that he's done, a lot of people still don't know who he is. You know what I mean? And for him, win, lose, or draw on Saturday night, a lot more people are going to know him. And this was the fight to take. Wins this fight, he's the number one contender anyway. He couldn't have played this any better than he did.
It's interesting that you would say that, because I wondered if it bothered you at all that he's taking, the quote-unquote money fight over a title fight. Like, does that bother you when the biggest fight you can make isn't necessarily the one that's for the UFC title?
No, not when you're at this point in his career, and like I said, have accomplished all the things that he's accomplished. And to be honest with you, not much bothers me anymore, period. So, no.
Fair point. All right, well, big main event. The co-main event, obviously not going to get as much as attention, but it's a damn big fight as well. Gilbert Burns, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, two top welterweight contenders. Stylistically, it's going to be crazy. I think the question here is, could a title shot potentially be earned by one of these guys, especially I think Wonderboy, since he hasn't fought for it, at least against Usman. Is an impressive performance a potential title-earning performance for these guys, or what's at stake here?
Yeah, this fight's a big deal for both these guys, and I agree. Listen, the hardcores that know, this is one of those fights that bring in a lot of casual fans. The hardcores that know the fight game know that this is a fun fight. It's a big fight, and I think that these guys are going to come in. I love Gilbert Burns' style. I love the way that this guy fights. Wonderboy likes to stay on the outside and pick guys like this apart. Can Gilbert get inside and do what he needs to do to stop him? And can Gilbert take him down?
Yeah, it's fun, man. The welterweight division right now is so deep with all those contenders, even though Usman's been dominating guys. So I got to ask you, we keep talking about Usman, Colby Covington, the rematch. Is that still the fight to make? And if so, what's taking so long to get it made?
100% the fight to make. It will get made. That's going to be one of those fights that's later on in the year. Usman has busted his ass for us, man. This guy's turned around and took fights and everything else. Listen, he's the champ. He's walked through everybody. He's done everything that we've asked him to do. He wants to fight later in the year. Who gives a shit? I'm in. And Colby Covington is absolutely the guy to fight. The first fight with them two is one of the best fights I've ever seen, ever. And I'm excited for the second one.
Yeah, I look forward to that one. Got to ask you about Leon Edwards, though, in that mix. Does he have to fight again, or can he sit around and maybe wait for the winner? That poor guy's been waiting forever to get his shot.
It's never a good idea to sit around and wait. Lots of bad things have happened to guys that have sat around and wait. This sport, just like life, there are no guarantees. There are no guarantees in life, man. You got to get in there. You got to fight your ass off. You got to stay relevant, and you got to make people be chomping at the bit, saying, all right, Leon's getting screwed now. This guy should be getting this title fight. You want the fans screaming for you to be the next guy to get that shot. And yeah, with the bad luck that poor kid has had, he should stay as active as he possibly can.
I'd love to see him and Masvidal get that little rivalry fight there, the three-piece Minnesota. Put that.
That is a fun one. I agree. And if there's another fight to make right now, you're dead on. That's probably the fight to make.
I like it. I know you said nothing really bothers you much these days. I do have to ask you about the interim heavyweight title fight. I don't know if I've seen a more criticized decision for the UFC in recent memory. So I don't want to say it. I was going to say any regrets or concerns. I mean, it just
tons of regrets, lots of concerns, and it's just killing me. It ruined my 4th of July. No.
Well,
I put on fights every Saturday. You want to fight? I got fights for you. You don't want to fight? No problem. You don't have to fight. So what we got now is we actually have the guy who beat Francis Ngannou taking on the undefeated up-and-comer in Houston for the interim title. And whoever wins, they can fight Francis when it's time. Right? It's a great fight.
It does.
It's the fight that makes sense. It's the 2 best heavyweights in the world that aren't the heavyweight champion. And then
I like the fight. It's just Francis, he just had the title, 4 months ago, and now he's in an interim. I think that's the only part that people are worried about. Like, hey, well, what about Francis? I mean, the guy's the scariest dude on the planet, and he just got it. Are you devaluing his title maybe by making an interim belt?
No. If anything, this will make the title fight even bigger when these guys fight. It'll be champion versus champion. And if Derrick Lewis wins, Derrick Lewis is the guy who beat him. Ciryl Gane has never fought him, and he's undefeated, which means if he beats Derrick Lewis, the guy who beat Francis Ngannou, and he's still undefeated going in against Francis Ngannou, that's pretty fucking exciting.
That is pretty exciting.
Why doesn't everybody just shut the fuck up and let me do what I've been doing for the last 20 years? If you want to fight, I got fights every Saturday. If you don't want to fight, no problem. Fly around the world, go on fucking vacations, and do whatever the hell you want to do. And when you're ready to fight, we'll be here.
I dig it, man. Just one other one for you. I know Khabib will be in town. When Khabib comes to Vegas and he's hanging out, do you ever kick the tires with him a little bit and say, what might be interesting would be, how about this? How about that?
We talk and we'll talk through text and say hi to each other and what's up. But I told you guys after the last time he told me he was done that I wouldn't bother him again with a fight. I bothered him again with a fight. I can't help myself. But, he's retired.
All right, fair enough, man. Well, Dana, I appreciate the time. UFC 264 this weekend. Obviously, it's going to be a big one. Any last messages to sell the fight, or is this one where you just show up, turn the lights on, and Conor does his thing and it sells? Listen,
this is one of those great fights at the right time, the right place. Trilogies are always fun. The only thing that I can tell you is, like I said before, the most pre-buys we've ever had. This thing is trending off the charts. I'll have a good idea Thursday or Friday what the numbers, where it's going to fall. But yeah, buy it early. If you know you're going to stay home on Saturday, you're going to watch the fight, do it early. Don't do it on Saturday.